Hello and welcome to the Elder Nerds, episode
Hey,
3. I'm Gary Esposito and I'm here with my good friend Pete Hernandez.
hey guys.
Hey Pete, so how's it going? We didn't do a recording last week because I was kind of busy, and in fact, I'm even busy this weekend because I'm going to be working Toy Fair with
Oh,
my
where's that?
friend. And
Where's
but
that
I
taking place at?
yeah, but I wanted to get in a quick one. I'll put it up Sunday night, and I just want Patrick is away from the phone. And
Mm-hmm.
so it'll just be me and you. Maybe we'll just do a little half-hour one because I got to get to bed. I got to get up early and go to the Javits tomorrow
Okay.
morning. So hey,
How long is Toy Fair?
till Tuesday.
So what's like 7, 8 hours a day or something like that?
Yeah. Well, since my friend has a booth and he's in charge of certain panels and stuff, it's more like a 8 to 10 hour day. So yeah, it's a
Hmm.
long day. And then tomorrow night, I'm actually going to go see Mystery Science Theater reunion. Trace Ballou and Frank Conniff.
Oh, that's
Uh,
pretty cool.
yeah, I'm gonna go see I'm gonna go see him up at a theater in Yonkers tomorrow night because it was actually at the Alamo in Brooklyn tonight, but tickets sold out before I could get them.
Right.
So me and my friend were like, well, let's just take it's only 90 minutes to Yonkers. It's like, let's go see him. It's like, okay. So what have you been up to, man? How's it going?
Not bad. Working on continuing work on my graphic novel, networking online, and just kind of staying low key for the time being.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us about the graphic novel and everything? Let's hype it. Let's start promoting
Uh,
it.
yeah. Working on War Dogs. It's from what I can tell and from what I've seen from digging around for the last I don't know, year or so. It'll be the first ever all Asian action graphic novel ever done,
You're
which
kidding.
is yeah, which is a
Really? Wow.
surprise to me because I totally thought somebody had to have done something like this before, but
Yeah.
my friends kept telling me they've never seen anything like it, and the Asian any whether they're Eurasian or Asian American, uh, anybody who's seen it has just kind of flipped for it because they've never been represented in comics really.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
so it was like an accident. I mean, I did it.
Wow. I had no
I
clue.
decided to do it just as my tribute to Asian cinema. As my homage uh, for all the Asian action films I grew up watching and still watch. So I just decided, a couple of years ago to put a plot together, but never got to doing it until I would say 2015. I've just because I wanted to draw Asians as accurately as possible, so I wouldn't do it until I could get actual Asian people to be character models. And I finally found some people in England to be character models, and then the ball started rolling from there. So I spent all last year writing it, and chipping away at like promo art and character designs and shit. And this year I've been working on the pages for the first book, so I'm already up to like page 20. I'm shooting for like 60 or 65 for book one. So
Ah, this is going to be a continuing graphic novel series?
it'll be 2 or 3 books because the entire story is about 200 pages. And I realized that would just be too big to put out all at once. Um, Plus, just a lot of people I've been in contact with. A lot of people are really interested in seeing it, and the teaser that I put out has gotten me a lot of really good, really positive reactions online. So I'm more psyched now than ever. Like last year, I went through a lot of anxiety, just wondering like, why am I doing this? Nobody's asking for this, but you know, I kept when you're writing, you 1 minute you're totally fired up for it, and the next minute you're depressed and you're losing faith, and then you get back up and you start writing again, and you go back down and you lose faith and you get back up again, and but I'm proud that I finished it because I don't think I've ever finished a novel. I finished a bunch of short stories throughout the years, and I've done like I think 8 issues of my other series of the Company Man series, the
Yeah.
superhero.
You only
And
8? I thought you did a lot more than that.
well,
Wow.
I did I did so much and so many ancillary art pieces and side projects and shit. While I was doing Company Man, I was doing these short stories because I was working with that Irish comic label. so I had stories in their anthology, and I had short stories in an anthology based out in Florida called Space Coast Comics. So I was doing a lot of stuff simultaneously while working on Company Man, and but I never finished the whole story.
Oh.
Uh, so I still have, God, I don't even know where I left off. I still probably got like 10 or 11 issues before the whole story is told for Volume 2. But I put it to the side to write War Dogs because I wanted to do this graphic novel, and I actually managed to write the whole thing the way I wanted to write it and put everything into it that I wanted to have in it. So now it's just a matter of getting all the artwork done.
Oh, okay. And all right, so it's you're planning a 200-page saga, let's say 3 volumes, and
Mm-hmm.
you wrote the whole thing out first, and you storyboarded it first
Yeah.
before you did the final art.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I collected. I mean, literally hundreds. I mean, I probably have a couple of thousand photos collectively from about 50 different real people. Like everybody's Asian, of course, whether they're Chinese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, Lao, Laotian, Cambodian, uh, Hmong, you name it. Whoever I could get involved, and a lot of them are stuntmen and actors, professional martial artists, and some are cops, and some are lawyers, and some are television personalities, and a bunch of like actors, like dramatic actors, regular people, just regular guys, rappers and R&B singers and music producers, and there's really, there's all kinds of people there. Like whoever looks cool and fit the bill and was down to commit to get taking selfies and giving me, different shots of them. Basically, I brought on board. It didn't matter whether they were famous or not.
Oh, okay. Yes, I remember you were putting a lot of calls out on your
Mm-hmm.
Facebook feed for people that you could draw to use
Yeah.
in your graphic novel. I did not want to do that because I don't like to look at myself in any form.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of well, I've ran
So I
into
was like, I
a
don't
lot
want
of
a
people.
cartoon of me,
You know what's what's funny is there were a lot of Asians who ironically did were so into it, but when I told them about the taking pictures part, they just completely clammed up. They just shriveled up into a little ball of shyness. And the ironic thing was is that on their pages they're in hundreds of pictures, but
Wow, that's
I guess
wow.
they're in group shots because Asians go. A big thing is going out to eat in like little groups.
Yes, yes.
So they be in pictures, and I guess it's kind of like the safety of being in a group. It's like all the attention isn't on you, so maybe
Right,
that
yes.
that has something to do with it. But individual pictures of just themselves to certain Asians, especially ones that lived out in East Asia, like out in China and in the surrounding areas, for example, or Japan, they were just super shy about it. They just could not get their heads around that idea of taking pictures of just themselves.
Wow,
So
that's wow, I never knew that. That's really interesting.
it's yeah, it's been a real interesting learning process about the Asian mindset. I mean, I've really been completely involved with Asians from all over the world for like an entire, I would say about a year and a half. Just like every day, all from like late 2015 all the way to now. And then a lot of what I learned went into the story to enhance the drama and the action and throw some cool stuff in there and break some stereotypes. Nobody is like an effeminate, geeky nerd, like Hollywood likes to make them. You know what I mean?
Right, okay.
Yeah, none of them are. Nobody's cheap comic relief. Nobody's like asexual. Nobody's. They're all doing stuff characters would do in an action drama. They just all happen to be Asian. You
Right.
know?
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
that.
I remember
Mhm.
like you do have a lot of Asian friends. You said that some of them were working on some big budget movies that have come out, and you
Mhm.
know people all over the world through Company Man. And now I'm going to bring up, and since you're doing an Asian graphic novel and you do have friends in the industry, I guess
Mhm.
have you've noticed online the little controversy over. Hang on one second, Pete. I'm going to switch over to another audio recording in a second, and then
Sure.
we'll get to my question, and we'll just take it from there. So we got about a second or two, and then I'll switch.
Okay. You know.
This is a free. I did the audio recording. There's a free one on the internet, but it's only for 10 minutes. So now I
Oh,
switched
okay,
over to QuickTime, which I never knew
gotcha.
had a audio recording thing built into it. So I'm using
Oh, it's
that now.
and what is it like unlimited or something?
I think so. It doesn't say it. It doesn't say. You know, you
So
want.
what's his
We'll go as
controversy?
long as we can. You know.
What's his controversy you were leading up to?
The whitewashing of the movie The Great Wall with Matt Damon. Um,
Oh,
that
I
I
haven't
have a couple. I
I
have a
haven't
few
seen it.
Asian friends, and some of them are a little bit peeved over. They think it's another white man saves Asian
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
type of culture thing. I mean, have you read anything about it or seen anything or talked to your friends
Um,
about it?
well, I definitely read the backlash from the Asian community about the movie because it's about the Great Wall and it deals. I'm assuming it deals a little. Oh, I don't remember the details, but I believe it deals a little bit with Chinese mythology and then some big battle along the Great Wall.
Yeah, they fight
And
dragons. I think.
I
I
think so. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it believe it has a supernatural edge to it. So on the surface, it looks like the Great White Hope has to come save the poor Asians from their own worst enemy. But there are articles that said that in China, the Asian lead is on the poster, and then in America, Matt Damon is on the poster. So I
Oh,
guess
okay.
so. Yeah, so I guess but I don't believe he's the focal point of the movie. From what I understand, he's a traveling warrior. Like he's a great warrior. He's been roaming the world, and I think he's almost like a Ronin. Like he's a man without a cause.
Oh, a friend told me that on Wikipedia it says that Matt Damon is like a translator from Europe, and he gets caught up in this
Oh,
big battle thing, but he's not even the hero. It says
right,
that like the woman in the movie saves his life, and
right,
he's
right,
just there as a participant. He's not like the Great White Hope. He's just there as a participant. He
right,
gets caught
right.
up in it, and he helps him, but then he he takes these secrets and stories back to Europe.
Mm.
So he's not even, like you said, he's not the main focal point from what it
So
says on
he's
Wikipedia.
so he's almost like Marco Polo in that Netflix series, where even though the series was called Marco Polo, it really should have been called Kubla Khan
Oh, really?
because
Oh, see,
Mark.
I didn't see
Yeah,
that. Oh, wow.
yeah, that was actually a pretty good series, even though it started slow. I think that's the reason it got canceled was that it didn't have a high repeat streaming factor. Like a lot of people just weren't tuning; they were tuning out and not coming back because it was a little slow. But it was a really beautifully done series. But in honesty, it doesn't pick up for a few episodes. It takes a while to get going. But Marco Polo isn't really the focal point of the show.
Huh.
He's similar to what you said with Matt Damon. He kind of gets left in Kubla Khan's kingdom almost as like a bargaining chip. Like in order for the father literally trades Marco Polo to Kubla Khan in exchange for passage through some trade route or something along those
Oh,
lines.
geez. Wow. Okay.
And then Marco Polo ends up sort of living with the Mongols and learning their ways, and you're experiencing this world through his eyes. But the strength of the show is Kubla Khan. That's the character who
Oh,
carries
wow.
the
That
show.
sounds interesting. I read some reviews over the beginning episodes, and it sounded interesting, but I just never got into it. Hopefully, I can find time for it. What did it
Yeah,
last? 2 years? 3 years?
yes, it was 2 seasons and then they canceled it, unfortunately, which is rare. Netflix only canceled, I think, like 4 shows of their original content.
Oh, geez. And you figure with something with such a worldwide appeal, especially in the Asian market, they would try to keep it going.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
that's
a
too
real the
bad.
best. The best thing about that show is Benedict Wong. He really, I mean, he's no new Jack. He's been around for a while, but I don't think he's been. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been in anything that rich ever in his career. I mean, he really played every emotion um, that an actor could play in that one character, and it was amazing. I mean, hopefully somebody will give him, excuse me, give him a big role like that again. But
Oh,
he really
okay.
showed he really showed what an incredible actor he is. Yeah,
Wow, okay. And yet there was nothing over that about having a East Western white man
No,
in
no, there was
Asia.
no because he's like one of less than a handful of white characters there, and he's not the focus. He's not saving the day. You know what I mean? If anything, he's learning from them, so he's kind of like a participant in their world as opposed to the lead character. So the same thing with The Wall. I guess Matt Damon isn't the lead either, so it's technically, I don't believe it's actually whitewashing at all. He's just they just put him in there, presumably to get the white audiences to tune
Yes,
in.
it is a business. Yeah, you have to think of it as a business.
Right. So they need something. So that's why he's center stage on the posters out here, and then the other lead, the Asian lead, is center stage on the posters in China.
Oh,
You
geez,
know,
I'd like to find some of those and see if that's
yeah,
true. Maybe.
you can go online and find the different posters.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
I remember seeing them like months ago.
All right, cool. Hopefully you get to, maybe you'll get to see it this weekend and let us know about it next week.
Is that when it comes? It comes out this weekend?
It started today, yeah.
Oh shit! I
So,
didn't even realize.
yeah, so maybe, maybe you'll give us a review next week on it. And what else have you read anything else online about the comics industry or anything else? I've been very busy this week.
I
I didn't have a time to
just
do any reading about pop culture in general this week. I have
I
a lot
did
of
read
meetings.
something, or I glanced at something interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said there's an article running around. I think it's on Bleeding Cool about the big two, Marvel and DC, are sort of bullshitting about their sales numbers. Something to the effect that
Oh, really?
they're selling like 100,000 units, but they're not reporting that, like, I don't know if it's a third or 2/3 of those units are being sold back to them from retailers.
Oh, wow.
There's like I said, I don't remember the details. It was a couple of weeks ago, but there's something to that effect where you would have to look it up. But it's like, say they're reporting like, oh yeah, we put out like 100,000 copies of whatever, or 100,000 units, but only 75,000 sold. Like 25,000 got sent back to them or something along those lines.
Wow.
And
But Marvel doesn't have a return policy. I think only DC and Dark Horse and Image do, I think.
so maybe that's the focus of the article. Maybe it's on those companies that have the return policy.
Wow. And I know there was the Comics Pro retailer meeting down in Memphis this week.
Mm-hmm.
My old DC rep was down there, and I only fleetingly got to see a couple of headlines. So DC is raising the price of all their books now to $3.99
Oh yeah,
across the
that's
board.
right. I saw an article saying that there's a backlash
Yes.
from comic shops.
Yes, yeah, especially, and a couple of retailers were saying that they're going to draw the line
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the prices are now just really too ridiculous. Marvel has $10 books, $5 books.
$10 books.
Yeah, they do some like 80-page
Oh, okay.
one shot special edition with original stuff and reprints, and they charge like close to $10 for it now. And I've seen some DC books too going for like $5-6 that are like like 48 pages or something like that. And it's like, wow.
Wow.
So like a
That's
lot of retailers with like a low profit margin, are now pissed off at this, and I don't blame them. And I
Well,
really
I
wonder.
mean, they keep trying to come up with new sales gimmicks, and all, like, whether it's a costume change or fattening up the book with pencil sketches of the pages or something along those lines, but it's all just window dressing because they're not making good stories. Continuity is out the window, and for me, personally, I feel the reason comics have just start falling apart over the years is because they just did away with continuity. They just threw it out the window, so the books don't really matter.
Yeah, with the constant reboots and the big events
Mm-hmm.
that take up like a fourth of a year, it's
There's no
ridiculous.
reason to invest in any of those stories because, I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
know they're comics. We know it's about guys in spandex running around doing shit, but it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, what other industry that you can think of is constantly retconning their line? Like even movies, they wait years, they wait decades sometimes before they reboot.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And with the
like
Marvel especially, they seem to reboot like every year now. A
every
new number
isn't
one
it like
every year. It's disgusting.
every half a year or something like that. There's another fucking extinction level event that's gonna shake up the world and crack the internet and blow people away and blah blah blah. And then it just and wasn't it you? Didn't you say once that like DC does these little reboot tricks where it's just to get like a 3 month spike in sales and then they just revert right back to the original sales numbers after that.
Oh, I don't remember saying that, but I could see them when they did the new 52. They
Mm-hmm.
did it, but I could see Marvel does the reboot every year. I think they get a certain spike on a number one,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they sell 100,000 copies of whatever B or C list character, and then by
Mm-hmm.
the third month it does drop down to like 30,000,
Right,
and
and they go right back to normal, and then they
yeah.
wait another couple of months, and then they do the fucking reboot trick again.
Yeah, and especially and also with these event books, like what was it? The last two events Marvel had, Secret Wars and
Right.
Civil War again. All their
Oh,
main event book was late, so you already know what's happened to the main character in their own book before the end
but
of the
it's
event book because everything's running late, and then books had
it,
to be pushed back and then off schedule, and it's just a mess doing all these event books. It really is, you
it
know.
it's all it. Well, I don't know. It's all I'm exact. I mean, I'm talking half out of my ass and half from what I read from articles. But whether it was Mark Wade or somebody else, they were saying that in an article from ages ago, they were saying that the accountants are calling all the shots. That it's really not Casada and all the people that are kind of in the forefront that get the attention. It's these bean counters who are deciding what books get put out and whether or not they're going to do another reboot. They're just they're crunching numbers and the calls that are being made creatively are based on that. It's nothing like it doesn't really. I think all the powwow, and again, I'm speculating. I don't have any deep inside information. I'm just remembering bits and pieces from these articles that have come around over the years. But anybody is willing to look it up. But I do remember reading that the accountants are the ones that call the shots.
I
Same,
could
and, it's,
I
and
could see that.
ironically,
Yeah.
it's very similar to the film industry. They're saying the creatives don't call the shots. It's the people that hold the purse strings that are calling the shots on what gets made. You
Sure.
know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And who stars in it? Which goes back to the Great Wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Matt Damon is picked to be in it because he has worldwide
Right.
box office appeal instead of having like an all Asian cast.
Right.
Um, it is a
You know
business.
what? What kills me is when I got involved in writing War Dogs, I started doing research on every time I met somebody from a new culture or from a new Asian culture that I didn't know about, I would start basically interviewing them online, asking them questions about the culture. And when you start doing that, you realize that the differences between cultures, be it Italian, Asian, Latino, Russian, whatever, they're minimal. They're really fucking minimal.
Oh, of
But
course.
I mean, because it's all basically food, family, religion, sex and
Yes.
partying. You know what I
Well,
mean?
those are the basic foundations. Yeah.
Yeah,
Food,
and
family, religion, faith. Yeah.
you throw in music, literature, and education, and it varies slightly from one culture to another. One culture holds education higher than others. Another culture holds creativity higher than education and science or what have you. But while going through all of this, you start googling, how many Asians are on the planet, and collectively, Asians make up more than half the planet's population.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something like 4.5 billion people on the planet are Asian of one kind or another. So out of a populace of what, 7 billion, we're slightly
Seven
over
plus.
seven.
Yeah, like 7.5 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last time I checked, it was like 4.5 of that was Asian. So it's like, how how is that a market? How is that an audience you just blow off? It's crazy.
Yes.
They're the biggest majority. They're the largest majority on the earth. So it's like, it doesn't make sense that an all Asian movie wouldn't work. I mean, it would
Yeah.
work it would work overseas. People are starting to people have finally realized that the foreign market is super powerful because there's way more people over there. So there's more people going out to a movie if it appeals to them. That's where these studios are really making their money. All the money is coming from overseas.
Yes, of course, yeah. I know, and for
Just
them not to have an Asian lead
yeah,
or an all Asian cast is kind of very narrow minded thinking. They're still thinking very Western.
yeah, there are
Uh,
millions of Asians in America. I mean, there's roughly 325.6 million people in the U.S. There's 1.4 billion in China.
yeah, yeah,
They literally have what three? That's what 3.5 times the size of our population.
right. But then
That's
again,
like,
but yeah, I guess you kind of figure Hollywood is catering to the Western market first
well, yeah.
in their stars to appear in the movie, and then that worldwide appeal of a Matt Damon or a Ben Affleck just benefits them
I mean,
overseas.
if you notice the landscape is changing in film slowly. Star Wars, for example, has become more multicultural, which to me always made sense. I don't know why I wasn't like that before. Star
Well,
Wars
it's from
always
a
had
Western. It was the first trilogy was from a Western point of view. You can't. You,
what I'm saying is that the structure, the Star Wars universe is so hodgepodge, as opposed to Star Trek, which is so much more streamlined and antiseptic. Like Star Trek, it just kind of made sense that pretty much everybody was white except for Uhura. It just seemed like because it was just like
well, no, come on. They had a Sulu. They had a Russian. They
well,
had
that's true. Yeah, but the Russian is still white. He's still a white guy. You know what I mean?
right,
It's true. They had that
but
too. They
Star
had
Trek was
Sulu.
way more multi-ethnic than Star Wars. Even the '60s shows was even a little bit more. Look at Khan from the Demon from the what was it? Demon Space Seed was that episode? He was supposed to be like from India, like an Indian
Right.
descent.
But then
Uh,
they used Ricardo Montalban.
Montalban, who was Spanish, so
They used Mr. Rourke. They used Mr. Rourke to play an
yeah.
idiot.
But you know
But
what I'm
like,
saying? At least even their villains were like different, a different culture. I think Star Trek was way more open minded
yeah, you might be
than
right. You
than
might be
Star
right.
Wars. I
It
mean,
just
look at Star Wars. George Lucas grew up in California, a well-to-do
mhm,
family. He went to what was that, UCLA film school or one of those big film
mhm.
schools? I mean, that was his whole world. So of course, when he makes movies, he's going to use what he knows, which was
Right,
basically a white dominated male culture.
right.
That's his
But didn't he?
upbringing.
Wasn't he married to a black woman, or is
He
he still
is
married
married,
to
but
her?
that was after his success.
Oh, okay. That's
But
probably what got
but
him to
still, I
keep
mean, he
making
was very,
movies.
it's just when he made Star Wars, which was what his third movie. American Graffiti is all white.
Yeah, yeah,
THX. I mean, that was the world he grew up in. So
yeah.
I'm sure
But
the
the funny,
success of Star Wars opened his mind a lot. Because I'm sure he had to travel
like,
around the world and see different
yeah,
cultures.
but now with the landscape changing in film, Star Wars is more multicultural. You even have, even though they're silly movies, you have the Triple X movies, you have the Fast and Furious franchise. They're ridiculous movies, but it's a totally multicultural cast, and it brings in a huge audience. Otherwise,
Yes.
they wouldn't keep making these things if they didn't have a massive audience.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's definitely worldwide. I think a lot of it has to do with the car culture too,
Yeah, yeah, it's car culture.
worldwide.
Yeah,
that is a brilliant marketing plan to have multicultural cast and fast cars. So that is a recipe for success.
yeah.
But I could, it's yes. But my thing is that a lot of people criticize Hollywood for having a white lead in a
Mhm.
Asian or a different culture storyline. But the thing
Right.
is, like you look at the stats on Hong Kong. This is my thing. Hong Kong has a big movie economy, a big movie
Yeah,
producing
yeah.
economy. Most of the world's billionaires live in
Mm.
Hong Kong. I think Hong
Mhm.
Kong has like 23 billionaires in the world or something like that,
Oh no,
multi-billionaires.
they have way more than that. They have their number of they have more billionaires than the U.S. right now.
Yeah, so I mean, why don't these billionaires or all the money in Hong Kong, why don't they get together and put out or create a movie studio or put out movies that reflect their own culture with their own ethnicity in the leads
Well,
and distribute it
well,
worldwide? Why do you have to depend on Western Hollywood to do it? Why don't these countries that are very rich, like Hong Kong and Russia and India, put out more movies with their own leads and try to get a worldwide box office appeal?
well, well, I mean, this is speculation, but you're talking about Western culture as opposed to Asian or Russian or whatever. In the U.S., we kind of have it in our heads that we can do whatever we want whenever we want.
Yeah, that's true.
In those cultures, they're not the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
being a
yeah.
creative isn't really conducive to that type of society. So this is all relatively new that you're getting all these cool movies coming. Well, actually, that sounds weird to say that because they've been making movies for years. But
Yeah, I mean, we've
the,
had our
the,
little bits
the,
of Bollywood come over
right.
here,
Well,
and stuff like
the younger
that.
generation, the newer generations of Asians and Russians and so on and so forth, they've been influenced by Western society and they want
Hell
like
yeah.
the cool stuff. You know, they want to be artists and musicians and writers and actors more now than when they were really under the thumb of their parents who wanted them to be a doctor, a lawyer, or what was the other one? A doctor, a lawyer, or like an architect or something like that. There was
Yeah,
no
something that had like like being a doctor meant that you were well educated and
right, and it meant
professional, and
money. It meant even it meant a high education because everything is
yes, it
about
was all
status.
status quo. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's about status out there. So it's bringing pride to the family name, and making a shit ton of money
Yes.
because when you get married in Asian culture, you're not just marrying the woman you're in love with, you're marrying her whole family, and you end up having to take care of your family and her family. So you need a high paying job. And you need to
Right.
make a ton of money because the grandparents are probably going to get moved in, and if not, at the very least, you're going to be taking care of those people as well as whatever family you've created on your own. So it's I can understand the backlash from the newer generation of Asians from talking to them. They just don't want to get mad. They don't want to go through all that. They want to have fun. They want to be Americans. They want to rock out and travel the world and do and party and do
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not become married and dead inside by the time they're 25.
Right. Yeah, that's why a lot of them do go into like being a lawyer or finance,
Mhm. It's
and
pressure from the
and
family. It's brainwashing and pressure
but
from.
also, but the ones here in America, they go into that so they can have money to spend, like you said, to party, to be American, to go
Hmm.
out.
And get
The
crazy
American
with it.
dream, nice car, nice house, all that crap.
Yeah, they definitely have been influenced by decades of Western cinema, and it's almost like an infection of the culture, depending on your point of view, because the traditionalists might see it as an infection because it's definitely changed the social landscape and the mental and the psychological landscape in the Asian community. But on the plus side, they're doing cooler stuff. Their industries are expanding in ways that nobody ever saw. I mean, the film industry is a powerhouse now. You got movies that were complete bombs out here that made a killing overseas and are getting sequels, like
Yes,
Warcraft.
yes, that and Pacific Rim 2, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the people ate it up out there, which is great because I love Pacific Rim. Um,
God bless you.
Warcraft looked. Well, I mean, I know it has all these faults in it, but if I was 10 watching that movie, it was fucking giant robots punching each other in the face. I don't need anything else.
But
I
see,
don't
that's
care
it. You're
how.
not 10. You're
Yes,
not.
I am. You shut your face.
We're elder. We're the elder nerds.
Yeah, well, there's still the nerd factor, and
Yeah,
nerds
that's
love
true.
giant robots punching each other in the fucking face. I don't need a deep philosophical story about why that big bad robot is coming across the water to stomp on San Francisco, and our robot's got to go kick the shit out of it. I
Right.
don't need that.
Hey, you're talking to a Godzilla fan.
Yeah, I mean
There's
we're
Godzilla
in a
movies
fucking
aren't high art, all right? Except Shin
yeah
Godzilla
no
was very good.
yeah. I like the Godzilla parts.
Yes, so yeah, we had this discussion. Yeah, you like the
Yeah, I
Godzilla.
like the
I liked it
Godzilla
because there was
parts.
much more characterization
Mm.
of the supporting cast than in any other Godzilla movie, as well as a lot of good action and good special effects.
That's
So
all I saw because I would watch the acting, and I was just like, "Man, where's Godzilla?" And I would just skip ahead until I saw Godzilla. Then I was just like, "Yeah, that's what I want."
so
Like I watched, I'm telling you, I watched some of these movies like a child. I'm just like, "Where's the fighting? I want to see lasers, and I want fire." And then
and
I'm like,
that's
"Oh, it's gonna be
and
awesome."
that's and you're the reason why there'll be a Pacific Rim too. But no, like you say, it is the overseas market is very influential now. I think everybody knows that who's listening to this. You know, there's so many news sites that report on this stuff and other podcasts, but it is very influential. But I just think I don't know for the Eastern market. They at one point somebody has to try to put together an all Asian cast
Yeah,
blockbuster movie that will succeed around the world. Somebody has to take that chance. You know,
it's
maybe the
that
newer generation of at some point there'll be a new generation of Hollywood
that
execs.
that's what it's gonna take. I mean, look at what was that article that went around recently about Facebook about how it treats its employees? That the employees get what, like 6 weeks of paid maternity leave, and they get uh, I don't know if it's
Oh,
10 days. I
geez,
don't think it's
wow.
10 weeks, but they get, let's say, 10 days of bereavement leave for an extended family member, and then 20, and then twice that, like 20 days for an immediate family member paid leave, and these, like the way this, and Facebook is a massive corporation, but it's changed the way that particular corporation is taking care of its employees. Same thing with Google, and people like, and a couple of other corporations I've read about that I'm drawing a blank on right now that are just doing things differently. I think the same thing is going to happen with film. The same thing has already happened in
Yes,
music.
yeah.
The music industry has completely changed from what it was.
Right, but like you're saying, you're talking about Facebook and Google, which have all these great
Mhm.
employee benefits. I'm talking about at some point you're going to need that new generation to immerse themselves into the old way of Hollywood business and change the
Mhm.
business from within to do
Yeah, I think
something
I
like that.
tell
And
you,
that may take a long that may take longer than a
I'll tell you right
startup like
now.
Google or Facebook, which was created in a dorm room and became billionaires overnight. I think
I'll tell you
I
right now, it might be wishful thinking, but I think Netflix has already changed the game as far as how it's been discussed in numerous articles, but they are definitely the godfather, the father of binge watching. They changed the way people watch television,
yes.
and their platform of original programming has changed. It's opened the doors for all sorts of lower level creatives who don't have millions and millions of dollars at their disposal to get their work up, to get their stuff out there.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they really opened the door for stand up comedy. They opened the door for original programming, and they've created some amazing shows. Like Stranger Things, which everybody loves, was rejected by 15 different studios before it landed on Netflix. And then
Right.
it's like,
Yes.
and it's one of the biggest shows Netflix has had. You know what I mean? So I think if anybody's changing the game, it's them, because they're growing in leaps and bounds, and I wouldn't be surprised that I fully expect to see an announcement somewhere down the line where Netflix is going to start their own film studio if they don't already have one. Like a Sony or a Paramount or a Fox or whatever. You know what I mean? I could totally see them eventually having their own film production company.
Well, I think they're already starting because they seem to have more original content than lately than showing like classic movies or classic TV
Yeah,
shows.
they're
I
they're a
think those
network now.
yeah,
They're a
those are being
network.
slowly phased out. They're doing more original content and I wonder if that'll lead to them being open to being bought by let's say Disney, let's say HBO, like something like that, you
I
know?
I don't know. I mean, obviously Disney could buy everything because Disney's bought our childhood, and
Yeah,
if anybody could afford to buy Netflix, it would be Disney. But I'm
exactly.
just curious. I mean, without knowing the people that run Netflix, just looking at the way they've been handling their business and how they've grown and the chances they've taken, they are the wave of the future when it comes to media, when it comes to TV shows and movies. You know, they really that's the future, and it's very much in keeping with what Spielberg was saying a couple of years ago in an article that he can see the death of cinema because of streaming and home entertainment systems becoming more and more sophisticated, movies becoming more and more expensive. People, people with families are more reluctant to go out to see a movie because it's going to cost them a fortune to take their kids and buy popcorn
See,
and this, that.
I agree with them to a point, but I can't see that. We've been hearing about the death of people going to the movie theaters for
Mm-hmm.
decades. Yet more and more box office every year. There's more and more billion grossing movies than ever before. I mean, yes, ticket prices are kind of high, but you look at those ticket sale numbers. I mean,
Yeah, crazy.
there's still tens of millions of people going to the movies. It's like I
So
think people.
a lot of that can be attributed. A lot of that can be put on the shoulders of Marvel Disney
Oh, of
because
course, yeah.
they brought some real. They really gave an adrenaline shot to the film industry because just a few years, go back pre Iron Man, and you can find articles where they were talking about the unbelievably poor ticket sales in general across the board. Across the board for the film industry, people were just tired of seeing the same old shit. The buddy cop movies, the generic action hero movie, the dysfunctional family drama movie.
Oh
The
yeah,
generic.
but what I'm saying is people still like to go out and still like to sorry, I was looking at something online when you were talking about Stranger Things. It's actually only their sixth top rated show
Yeah.
over the past year. Yeah, like Orange is the New Black does better. Uh,
Yeah, but they have. What I'm saying is they. Well, I mean, the thing is that they have captured the attention
oh yeah,
of
yeah.
the TV movie viewing audience, and a lot of these podcasts that are out there where actors get to really talk freely without having to shove everything into 15 minutes like Nerdist and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Everybody's gunning for Netflix now. Everybody's like,
Right.
oh, I'm just gonna
But
put
I
some
but I
shit
still
on.
think people will go to the movies. People like to go out. People like to congregate
Mhm.
at bars, at movie theaters. People still like that shared experience. I think yes, the way viewing things will change.
Yeah.
But I can't see the death of the movie
If it
theater.
keeps getting more and more, if it keeps increasing in price to go to a movie, people are going to start going less and less.
Um,
It's just a
I think
numbers
it,
game.
I think maybe it'll become more fractured, like the way network
Hmm.
TV is now, where it's like, the ratings of shows nowadays that are considered a success would have been canceled years ago. But it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like the older generation still watches network TV, and the younger generation is watching more YouTube and
Hmm.
Netflix. So I think things will become fractured like that. But I can't see like the movie theater. Look at what Alamo has done. Alamo has created this movie going experience where you sit down in these comfortable chairs, like you're in your living room. You can eat
Right.
food at your seat
Yeah, yeah.
while you're watching the movie. They have people selling food, in the theater, before you watch your movie, and they create this whole new experience of going to the movies, and
Well, they
I think
had to
that's what movie theaters will become. But
because people were stopping the movie attendance was dropping, so they had to come up with new gimmicks to suck people in, like serving food at the chair and the reclining seats and all that jazz.
right, I mean, yes, Alamo wasn't the first, but they only had one theater for a long time. There were a couple other theaters in Manhattan that did it. Sadly, they went out of business. But it seems like for every theater that goes out of business, I've seen like two or three movie theaters pop up in Manhattan and Brooklyn alone in the last 10 years. I mean, that has to
Hmm.
tell you something. You got the IFC Theater on 6th Avenue in the Village. That's like 10 years old. You got the Alamo Draft House in Brooklyn, which just opened up.
Hmm.
You got there's another one too, and there's King's Theater that opened up in Bed-Stuy, even though that's more like a performance place. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think theaters and concert going venues are going to have to become like you were just saying too. Like, yeah, not a gimmick, but a way to get more people to congregate and
Yeah, they
go.
have to offer more than just the movie
Yes,
to get
that's
you to
yeah,
go
that's
in because
exactly it. Yeah.
It's because I mean it's going to become as expensive to go to a movie as it is to go to a Broadway show. That's what I see down the line. That's because that's what things aren't going to get cheaper. They're just going to get more expensive.
Yes. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Because now you
You
have to
know.
pay for all those accoutrements, that the
Well, look,
food, the seats, the reclining seats, the 3D. You have to pay for all that now.
back in the days, what was one of the most expensive movies? Was it Titanic? Was that like one of the first? It was over 2 hours. It was what was it, $200 million, whatever, 250 million, whatever the fuck it was. And now the average blockbuster is at least 180 to $250 million budget.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that trickles down to the cost of movie tickets going up. The concession goes up. Everything goes up. Everything just keeps going up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it will become like more of an event to go to the movies, I think, but people will still
Yeah.
go. People will still go, even though, hey, there's a theater by me, the Alpine, during the week, from 10 to 5. They do the $7 matinee. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not the greatest theater. It's not
Yeah,
the
but that's
biggest
like
screens.
back in the days, there were plenty of ghetto theaters that used to do like 2 for $5 movies on a certain day, and everybody we used to go to those. We would go only on like let's say like Wednesdays and
I
Thursdays. There
never
was this
heard it.
theater
I
called
never
what was
heard
this
it
theater?
called
Was it called
ghetto.
was it called the Commodore out in Marcy? That it was always shootouts in the fucking
Yes,
front.
yeah, I heard. Yeah, I've heard of that theater. Yeah, but I never
Yeah.
heard it called ghetto theater.
Oh
That's
yeah.
fucking
That's ghetto.
hysterical. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
so
totally
funny.
ghetto. There was one theater we used to go to. My cousins and I used to go to in Queens. On oh crap, was it on Jamaica? I forget, somewhere around there. And it was two movies for $1.50 before five, and then it went up to $2.50 after 5 o'clock. And the place was a fucking death trap. It was a rat. It was a rat trap. It was a sleazy theater, and we went there because it was the cheapest way to see whatever was out. And the guy that ran it, I believe, ran it as a tax write off. And he had a little candy shop right outside the theater that he had one of his buddies run it to, so nobody would think that he owned it. So everybody would go and buy candy at the candy shop that was right next door to the theater, and then quote unquote sneak it into the theater. But it was just that nobody would ever check you. So you bring in 40s and you bring in potato chips and chocolate bars and whatever, heroes, whatever the fuck you wanted. And you would just go into this theater, into one of these ghetto ass theaters to check out. I watched like movies like The Last Starfighter and You're the Hunter, which nobody freaking remembers that
Yeah,
movie.
You're the Hunter was awesome.
Do you
Fuck
remember that
yeah.
movie?
Fuck
That movie is
yeah.
awful. It's awful. Um, and the Friday the 13th movies and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. You got those were the ghetto theaters. I mean, you took your life in your hands, but it was just violence was so common in the 70s and 80s. We didn't even think about it. We were just like, yeah, they might shoot, so if they do, duck.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Yeah. And if you got shot, you were like, well, why didn't you duck, stupid?
Yeah, and it was like there was no safe places to go to afterward to deal with the shock. You just
Yes.
went home and you just went home. You was like, yo, they started shooting. Should we tell our mom? Should we tell our parents? Like, no, don't tell them. They're gonna freak out and not let us go next week.
Yeah. I know, the good old days.
We risk our lives every week to go to the movies. Now it's like
To go
now
see
the
some
biggest
badly
thing.
dubbed Asian cinema.
Oh my god, yeah. Now it's like to the biggest problem you have is, oh, am I gonna get my reserved comfy chair seating at in time before it sells out? Back then we went to the movies and it was like, fuck, I hope nobody starts shooting in the middle because I want to see how this movie ends.
and so we've come full circle, which is always about race.
It all into race. I think there's a weird theme.
You go to a ghetto theater and hopefully you don't get shot.
No, listen. Growing up, it was you went to the ghetto theater to see movies cheaply, like 2 for $5.
Yep.
And if you wanted to go with the family and feel safe, you had to go to the white theaters in like Bay Ridge or Bensonhurst or somewhere in Queens. So it was like, what theater are we going to? The ghetto one or the white one? And it was like, well.
Yeah, for growing up in an Italian neighborhood, and I've seen some shootouts and some some people getting assassinated in cars. It's just like nobody ever did anything in the movie theater. They always waited till like they were in their car or in a restaurant. It's like the movie theater, I guess, was sacred to the mafia. I don't know.
Not in the hood. They didn't give a fuck. If guys would start arguing over the movie,
yes.
And they would start yelling at each other because they disagreed with something in the movie.
I know, yeah.
And it could turn into a shootout. But that was because half the people there were high or drunk.
Yes, or both.
The people who were high just wanted to talk shit and have fun and goof on the movie, and the people that were drunk would get riled up, and they usually were packing heat.
Yes, and they started imitating Bruce Lee or some ninjas.
Well, they started talking shit to the movie, and then somebody would be foolish enough to tell them to be quiet, and like, oh shit.
I know. The good old days. The newer generation will never know that.
Like
but
now you could literally shame somebody into being quiet and would be like, you're being very rude. I can't believe you're so disrespectful. And somebody would be like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, back in the days, you had to be ready. You had to know how to fight or have a fucking bat hidden in your bag or something. If you told somebody to be quiet, it was a fight.
Yes, yep.
Usually it was the fucking girl that set it all off and had the fight happening before anybody knew what was going on.
Right.
The guys were just like, I just want to this is date night, babe. Like you're supposed to go to the movies and just chill. And you're over here starting now. The guy's got to get up and defend her honor.
Yeah, the snowball gets rolling. Yeah,
because the dude, she's like, why don't you shut the fuck up? I know you didn't tell me to be quiet. And the guy's like, yo, shut that bitch up. And then forget it. It goes. Then all hell breaks loose.
Those were the days. But oh god, we could talk about this all night. But unfortunately, man, I have to cut it short. Because I gotta go. I gotta go to bed and wake up early tomorrow. But this almost felt like an episode of Oprah Winfrey. We talked about race and we talked about violence. And,
it's funny because we used to talk about this stuff, especially in the generation that we grew up in. It was not a big deal to talk about this stuff. It was a part of life, and everybody just talked about it, and usually ended up making fun of it or being kind of like darkly sarcastic, or whatever. It wasn't an excuse to be offended and self-righteous and
right. Yeah. Hell yes.
We used to kind of take the piss out of the whole thing. Like, it really wasn't. I mean, it was a big deal, but then on a street level, when you talked about it, it was just a piece of conversation.
Yes.
It wasn't like everybody wasn't on their toes or walking on eggshells. You were able to talk about it in a way that just kind of helped relieve the tension. It helped.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Let the air out of the balloon so it wouldn't pump.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Wow, things have changed. But next week we'll get Patrick's view on stuff like this, and hopefully you get to watch The Great Wall and let us know what you think. Because I won't have time at all. I got some projects in the works that hopefully I'll be revealing in a couple of months. We'll definitely do one. We'll definitely do one next Friday. And my friend Mike, who does the live auctions on Facebook. I think you've seen me post it. He would like to get in on this, and he wants to talk to you about. Mike used to be a professional letterer for Marvel and DC, and he still he does his own work and he does his own lettering, and he wants to talk about lettering. And I figure, he does things in Illustrator, and you do it in Photoshop, and I think that would be a nice discussion maybe between you two on the differences.
What I think is interesting about that is that I think it would be interesting to me personally to hear some of the technical aspects of lettering, but I think for the general audience, it would be more interesting to hear the personal side of being a letterer, because letterers get like no respect.
All right, so we'll talk about that too. Like I said, I want to make our podcast a little different than the standard movie gossip stuff, and I think. Listen,
I still don't know what our theme is. We just talk.
We just fucking talk. Yeah, I mean that's that, and I think that's our theme. I think we just fucking talk. But I would like to at least have some topics, and I think talking about lettering from two different points of view, two different perspectives, and like you said, the human side of lettering and the
That's what it is. It's because I don't personally, I don't think the average person is gonna really care too much about the process. I think creatives will. I think I would be interested. I think the average person should be made aware that of how important the letterer is.
okay.
They're almost like the drummer. Like without the drummer, music sucks. The music doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we could veer into that type of discussion. Yeah, I have no problem with it. And I'll
Yeah.
even just sit back and let you and Mike discuss. It's like I said, I don't have to be the center of the ringmaster of the whole thing or whatever. So, but I think that'll be cool to have another voice in next week maybe, and I'll check with Mike and his schedule. But like I said, I gotta go now.
All
And
right.
yeah, man, we almost talked for an hour. Jesus, I wanted to keep this
Did we?
short, and yeah, I got it at 55 minutes already. So,
No, not bad.
all right, man, I will talk to you next week. And
All right. Cool.
yeah, and once again, people be on the lookout for War Dogs. When Pete
That's right.
knows it's going to be released, we'll let everyone know.
Yeah,
And
you can find me on Facebook, Pete Hernandez the Third, or you can go to goofysnacks.com, GOOFEESNAX, and you can contact me through there. I'm always on Facebook, so it's a lot easier to find me. That if you're on Instagram or Twitter, my tag is companyman01.
all right, very cool. All right, thanks, Pete, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.